Umar Johnson said so much recently that I didn't know where to start, but I only want to attack on one subject at a time. And it seems like the thing that everybody is talking about the most is Eminem and him saying Eminem is not a top five rapper or a GOAT within the rap industry because he is white. I don't review Joe Budden's content because Joe Budden is really particular. I can pull the audio, I can lift the audio and play it, but I like to have a visual reference because I'm visual. And so I would think that my people that also watch this is visual also. But he did go live on Instagram and he gave some additional context as to what he was saying after he went on Joe Budden, right? And he said a lot of things on Joe Budden. He had some comments about Vanessa Bryant, which is Kobe Bryant's wife, widowed wife. And you got to remember, I really want to get into that, so I'm gonna deep dive into that on Tuesday. I don't care where I got to get the audio from. I'm gonna get that audio. But he has some things to say about say to Ish about Vanessa Bryant, which I didn't care for at all, and it pissed me off. Very rarely do I see something that comes out on content with content creation that actually pisses me off. But that really pissed me off because you don't have anything to say about somebody's widow. You don't tell somebody how to spend their money, let alone a widow of a legend, especially when you haven't done or accomplished anything. Done or accomplished anything. But that really, really, really pissed me off. But we gonna get to that on Tuesday. Let's get to this whole Eminem situation where he's saying that Eminem is not a GOAT within rap because he's white.
The reason I'm going live tonight is I want to address the Neanderthal nation. I'm going live tonight. I want to address the Neanderthal nation. Oh, yes, I do. I want to talk black to the Caucasians who have been stalking me for the past 48 hours. I want to talk to the Neanderthal nation tonight, the Caucasian community. You have been cyber stalking me for 48 hours, and I don't mind. I don't mind. You can continue to do it as long as you want, because I don't care if the opinion of every Caucasian is to the contrary. I say what I mean to say, and I stand on everything I say 10 toes down. But let me say this to the Caucasian community. Let me say this to the Caucasian community. When I look at your anger, when I look at your rage, when I look at the responses from America's Caucasian community.
No, Genesis 1. You stick around. I don't want you going nowhere. Genesis 1, you stick around. Ain't no coming back right after Dr. Umar Johnson. No, I want to see what I haven't seen this, so I got to review it with you, and I'm experiencing it with you.
Over this issue of Eminem being the GOAT of hip hop. And let me say this. I have nothing personal against Eminem. My comments on the Joe Budden podcast.
Somebody said, what has Vanessa done or accomplished? He's speaking from a black. I don't care what the fuck perspective he's speaking from. And I can cuss over here because it's not the it's not the morning show. The church ain't open, the daycares ain't open right now, so we can get straight to it. She don't have to do nothing. She did the same thing that Kuro Kaizen. She's done the same thing that you've done. Nothing after fucking suits, absolutely nothing, and she don't have to do nothing. That's not her job to do something. Her daughter and her husband died in a fucking plane crash. What makes you think that they have to do anything? She don't have to do nothing except for live and die. She's not obligated. She's never been a public figure. She has not. She's a mother. You can't tell somebody what to do with their fucking money. That's her money. What do you mean he's speaking from a black perspective? Fuck you. I'm so sick of y'all thinking that y'all can control somebody because man, get the fuck out of here, bro. You insensitive motherfuckers talking about what has she done or accomplished. Whatever she done and accomplished, she don't have to prove it to you. Y'all so entitled. Y'all some assholes. I hate y'all. Y'all some straight up assholes. From a black perspective. What you done did from a black perspective? Speaking on a widow whose fucking husband and daughter died in a plane crash. Good God. Y'all some dumbasses, bro. You ain't even got no fucking profile picture. What has she done from a black perspective?
Podcast had nothing to do with Mr. Marshall Mathers personally. And I want Mr. Marshall Mathers to understand that Dr. Umar Ifatunde harbors no personal ill will towards you. This is not personal. This is business. This is not personal. This is business. Eminem, I want you to hear me, young man. This is not personal. This is business. You are a talented musician, lyricist, producer. You seem like you are an okay guy. You've never done nothing to me, and you've never done anything that I personally witnessed to be worthy of condemnation. So my comments are not personal. They apply to any non-African. This is about business, the business of protecting the integrity of African culture. I said my comments on the Joe Budden podcast was about business, not personal. The business of protecting the sacredness, authenticity, and integrity of African culture. I said that no non-African can ever be the best of anything in African culture. You can't be the best cook of African food. You can't be the best rapper of African hip hop. You can't be the best singer. You can't be the best priest of African culture. Nothing we create can a non-African be the best at.
First of all, he's wrong. First of all, he's absolutely positively wrong because to even make that assessment, you would have to truly understand what culture is. And culture, and one of the reasons why I personally say that black culture is trash and the things that we celebrate the most about it is because culture is whatever it is our social norms that we celebrate the most. Meaning the things that we say, the things that you do. We didn't even create the English language, yet we come over here and remix. If you just want to be technical about it, right? We didn't create the English language. We came over here voluntarily or involuntarily. That's an entirely different conversation. And we remixed it and we made it into being something else that we wanted it to be. For example, slang, ebonics, right? Did we create basketball? Absolutely not. Basketball is a sport that was created by a white man. A white man created the sport of basketball. However, it is dominated by black people. So, are you telling me that it is impossible for Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Bill Russell or LeBron James or whomever it is that you want to talk about? It is impossible for us to say that they are the GOAT. They are the ones that belong on Mount Rushmore. Larry Bird, who is absolutely one of the greatest basketball players of all time, has a hard time breaking into the top 10 or the top 5 greatest players of all time because people don't even understand how great he was because we have a what have you done for me now lately culture that we live by. So if we're because you can have your opinion on where Eminem falls on the spectrum. Of course, you're gonna know where my opinion is because I'm from Detroit, so that's an entirely different conversation. But how can you sit here and say and hip hop and rap music was came together from a conglomerate of different people from different backgrounds over in New York? It was b-boys, it was taggers, it was the DJs, it was the MCs. It was a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures that helped create what hip hop is today. Now, if you want to talk about the first hip hop song or whatever it is, but the culture was a culture that was all inclusive of a lot of different people. Black people were the ones that got to shine from it. But if you're telling me that you can't be one of the ones that created it, so that means that we remove Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, and all of the like. We need to remove every last one of them from the Mount Rushmore of basketball because black people did not create it, although we came by and dominated it. Conversely, There is an argument that black people were the ones that invented hockey, but it is largely dominated by white people. And if you look at the Mount Rushmore of hockey, it is Canadians and Americans alike, and also some Russians, that are on the Mount Rushmore, including Steve Eiserman, that is at the Mount Rushmore of what hockey is today. So just because it was created allegedly, and we're going to go back to this hip hop conversation, just because it's created allegedly by something such as basketball that wasn't created by black people, does not mean that you cannot be the GOAT or the best at it. Otherwise, we remove the entire Mount Rushmore of what we have in these debates on in the first place. But nobody would ever do that. You know why? Because this only based off of what the results is. It's not based off of who created it. This is listen, for somebody to put doctor in front of their name, this is one of the most biased arguments and racist arguments that you can possibly make, even though he's trying to make himself feel better about it by saying that he doesn't have anything against Eminem, but he's referring to white people as Neanderthals.
First of all, it makes absolutely no sense at all. I don't even see how an African can come to the conclusion that a non-African can be the best at anything when we are the oldest people. We are the first people, and we are the most numerous people. So when you say,
somebody said they don't see the correlation from what Omar is conveying versus basketball. He's saying, from a C student's perspective, that if you did not create it, if your race did not create it, then you can't be considered the best or the GOAT at it. And I correlated it, and he was saying that anything within the culture, anything culturally, and then he also referenced, well, we'll get to that part. But then at the same time, in the same similar example, if you create anything, then I'm using the correlation with basketball to show you that white people or black people didn't create basketball, but they are absolutely created or considered to be the GOATs of it. All right, that's the correlation.
a non-African is better at X, Y, and Z than a member of the race, you're saying that this person can do this better than 2 billion Africans. Or you're saying not only can they do it better than 2 billion Africans on the planet, you're saying they can do it better than all of the billions of Africans that have ever walked the planet Earth. You know, and I know that that is absolutely ridiculous. You know, and I know that that is absolutely ridiculous. You know, like I know, that that is absolutely ridiculous. And from a cultural integrity perspective, this is not about Mr. Marshall Mathers. I don't have nothing personal against that man.
You do.
But from a cultural integrity perspective, haven't they stolen enough from us?
We got over 1,000 people in here, and we got less than 500 likes. I need y'all to get the likes up. I might be getting a little too old, Anton. That's what Lauren Mack says. Oh, okay. I listen. I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong, but nobody can actually justify the argument. What he's saying makes no sense to me.
Haven't they appropriated enough from us? Haven't they robbed, stealed, killed, enslaved, lynched, miseducated,
No, they haven't.
incarcerated, politically dominated us enough that you mean to tell me that after 404 years, you got black people running around playing defense attorney and cheerleader for white folks? You got black people running around after 404 years playing defense attorney and cheerleader. The fact that you got black people arguing for a white man to be considered the greatest of all time in an African art form speaks to how psychologically ill we are as a race of people.
And you know what the worst part about this argument that and I'm saying Dr. Umar Ifatunde is making is that Umar was just on a platform a couple of months ago arguing against the impact, arguing against the negative impact that hip hop and its culture that we love and hold so dearly to our heart, and how negative it's been for black people. So why is he now fighting? And this is what I mean by saying that his argument is stupid. It falls on deaf ears, and why he will never stand in front of a person like me. Because he wants to claim it only because he was against it. He was against it. The only reason he wants to claim it is because other people are now saying that as a part of who they consider one of the greatest of all time, not the only, because that's not even an argument that people are making. People are saying that Eminem is one of the top rappers of all time based on what he's been able to accomplish and his lyricism. And so now he decides that he wants to take it back when just a little bit ago he was arguing against the impact of it and how it's so negative for our people. Why are you so gung-ho about keeping it to yourself if it's so bad for you, but then you want to argue in favor of it just because somebody else is naming somebody that don't look like you to be one of the ones that's the greatest in it? That don't blow y'all mind? That don't really register with you? He just talked about how negatively rap is affecting black people, how rappers take from the culture and they never did nothing from it. He was on multiple different platforms talking negatively and talking about how bad rap was for black people. But now he wants to take it back and make it ours because he don't necessarily like who it is that people are identifying as one of the best people to do it. And it's all opinion based, so it doesn't matter where you stand on a spectrum of who you think the GOAT is. Some people think Rakim is the GOAT. Some people think Jay-Z is the GOAT. Some people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the GOAT. Some people think that Drake is the GOAT. Some people think that, LL Cool J should be at the top of the list with Run DMC and all of them. And then, other people think that it's DMX and Tupac and Biggie and Nas. You know what I'm saying? So it really don't matter where the argument lands. That's irrelevant to his point. The point is that he's fake, and this is a bad argument and bad faith because he doesn't really stand for it. He just stands against you being able to have some kind of statement in it if it revolves around somebody else that don't look like you. And that's the argument that he's making. And that's why y'all got to look at this as disingenuous. Shout out to the Lakers. I'm going to definitely be reading that super chat shortly.
After all we have been through in this country, you got black.
Have no influence in rap whatsoever when he's literally helped put on one of the biggest juggernauts in rap right now in 50 Cent. The person that y'all praise so much, nobody was really trying to sign or check for 50 before M brought him back to Dre and said, hey, we need to put this dude on and put everything we got in Interscope behind 50 Cent. And then y'all was all riding 50's coattails. But you telling me that Eminem don't have no influence in rap? Influence helped push what we know to be Griselda today. But he don't have no influence, right? Come on, man. One of the people that y'all say is one of the best lyricists in Royce the 5'9", Eminem is the person that literally opened up the door for a lot of these dudes to be able to eat today. And you're telling me that he has no influence and no impact on what rap has been or what it's to become when he's put on some of the biggest, most influential businessmen and rappers today, and 50 Cent regularly praises him as one of the GOATs and one of the people that's had one of the biggest influences in his life. And you're sitting here telling me that he don't have one of the biggest impacts and he hasn't done more for black people and giving them bags and making sure that they got put on than this guy that's sitting right here criticizing him? Okay, cool.
Black men running around playing defense attorney for white folks, advocating for Marshall Mathers. Nothing against Eminem personally, but for a black person to go out of their way to fight for any white person to be considered the greatest of all time in an art form that should be sacred to our community, our culture, and our people is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But let me address the Caucasian community. Because I've been called racist probably 1,000 times today, and I don't mind. I absolutely do not mind. Because there's a few things we know. After 1,000 years of direct interaction with Caucasians, there's a few things we do know. One thing we know about you is you're not honest about anything if it jeopardizes your power and control of other groups. Let me say that one more time. I'm talking to all you Caucasians who saw fit to have a temper tantrum on my timeline. I'm talking to all you Caucasians who saw fit to flood my inbox. I'm talking to all you Caucasians. I wanted to address the hypocrisy of perpetrators of racism who call the victims racist. I wanted to address that.
This guy's crazy. I'm about to go get some more water.
But I've been informed that members of the Neanderthal nation have been reporting me. So I'm not going to be able to go in the way that I wanted to go in. I really wanted to expose the hypocrisy of people who have more energy for a conversation on who's the greatest rapper than they do for protecting black people from the police. I really wanted to deal with the hypocrisy of these Caucasians who have so much negative energy for being told they have no business exploiting black culture. But we don't see that same energy for giving black people reparations. We don't see that same energy for justice for black people. We don't see that same energy with making sure African people get their fair share of a country that our ancestors built with their bare hands. See, if they cared as much about police brutality as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much about police brutality against black people as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much about mass incarceration reform as they cared about Eminem being called the GOAT, if they cared as much for black women being sexually trafficked as they care about Eminem being called the GOAT, we would have solved a lot of our problems by now. Calling somebody.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Shout out to Andre and Andrea. Love crossing borders. I actually seen y'all video that y'all did, the video that you did as far as the reaction with the passport bro. Somebody sent it to me and all of that. I'm gonna read that super chat shortly, but I appreciate you for reacting to my content positively, negatively. I know that it was mostly positive, but I appreciate you for supporting the platform and also reacting to the content and even getting insight as to whether or not I would give you permission. You don't have to have my permission to react to any of my content. You guys can do whatever it is that you want to do when you want to do it. Dr. Umar Johnson is fake. I'm going to read y'all super chat shortly. I appreciate you. He's fake. I think that he's absolutely fake, 100%. And it's funny because he's using white tools that were invented by white people, such as Instagram, to get out his message to the black people because he considers white people Neanderthals. And then he didn't actually justify his argument as to why people shouldn't consider somebody that's in any other race other than themselves to be the GOAT. I guess Fat Joe doesn't qualify either, right? Right? Eminem don't qualify. Fat Joe don't qualify. I know he absolutely hates DJ. See, he'll never actually mention Fat Joe, but he'll mention DJ Khaled.
Racist when your people are the greatest purveyors of racism and genocide in the history of humanity. Calling someone racist when your people are the greatest purveyors of racism and genocide in the history of humanity, I find it quite hypocritical. I find it quite hypocritical. Brothers and sisters, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, 13th annual Kwanzaa tour.
Oh.
And it'll probably be the last because next Kwanzaa will be at FDMG. This is probably my third.
Not the school thing again. Not the whole school. What's it been? 16 years now? Going on 16 years? It's 2024. What up, Sherelle? What is it, like 16 years now? Come on, man. You gotta love Umar. He is 10 toes down when it comes to selling you this idea that he gonna open up this school. Come on, let's continue.
13th and final Kwanzaa tour, because next Kwanzaa will be at FDMG. Hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Let's take some questions for FDMG.
We're going to go ahead and leave that there. I'm not going to do it. Let's take some questions for FDMG. Okay, I got a question for you. At what point were you actually open to school?